Well, last year we had the opportunity to speak to the lovely Gwyn Strang about her music. She is from Ohio-based band Frayle, and they've got a new album coming out literally in a matter of days. So we wanted to jump at the opportunity to talk with Gwyn and Sean. Welcome, Frayle, to Shit Talk Reviews. It's great to see you again, Gwyn, and great to meet you, Sean.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see you.
Get us caught up with what you've been up to over the last year. New album notwithstanding, because we'll definitely get to that.
I mean, what haven't we done, Sean?
Done a lot.
Not a lot, actually. It's been kind of boring. We've just been waiting for everything to kind of roll out. So it's everything's been in kind of a holding position.
Yeah, we recorded drums over a year ago for this record, and then did guitars and vocals here. We did drums in New Jersey. It was the first time working with producer Aaron Chaparian, which was amazing, and we'll probably do it again.
Nice.
And then we finished the record, delivered it, and Napalm seemed pretty excited about it. And then we shot 4 videos, one of which just came out today.
It's great.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thanks. And then we got one more single that comes out before the record. But yeah, as Gwen mentioned, we've been waiting. This is our first time on a bigger label, and with that comes longer release schedules. And then as we get into like bigger booking agencies, things just take a while. We're definitely growing, but I think in the grand scheme of things, we're still like a baby band. So it's like we don't get to jump on things as fast as we like sometimes. So we're just here for it. And
with Summertime Sadness, what goes into getting the rights to be able to cover a song? Is that something that you have to take on, or are you able to just do it, or does the label work through that for you?
Yeah, luckily the label does that for us. I mean, I don't even know if I would even know where to start. I think we did it for Wandering Star.
Yeah.
But that was like a zillion years ago. But yeah, it's luckily we don't have to deal with any of that legal stuff. We just kind of make music and hand it off.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, I wouldn't know how to handle that at this point, because it's I think it's based on like number of streams and this and number of that, and like
what are the logistics like? Do you guys record the track first and then does it get presented after the fact, or does permission need to be gained before you even bother?
I think just when you're about to release it, I think you can record it. You just can't release it. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
But I think that there is kind of an unwritten thing that you can. The vast majority of songs you can cover is just how much do the original artists want for that. So I think there's very few songs or musicians that actually don't allow you to cover their work. But I think it's pretty much a given for the vast majority of artists out there.
Yeah, but everybody always wants their money, so I don't know how this will work.
It does make the world go round.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you mentioned that you worked with a producer on this album, and not to discredit any of your past work because it's all great sonically, it's fantastic. But what was working with Aaron Chaparian like? The album presents huge. It's got an epic like sonic feel to it. So what was obviously was it tough to hand over the reins to somebody else, or?
For him it was.
Fuck yeah.
I'm very I'm more open-minded, and I'm excited to hear other people's opinions as to what would make our music better or what would make a video better. So I'm more open-minded. Sean is very, very he wants to hold it really close and so for him I think it was a bigger deal, but
yeah, John Morgan, who is the drummer that's on this record. I was in another band with him years ago, and I've known that guy for a long time. And he's probably my favorite drummer to play with, one of my best friends. And I would, before getting to work with him, like on this record, because he did not work on the other Frayle records, I would just sort of emulate, like, what would John do here? And just that's kind of the drums that I would do. And so now I got to work with him, which was awesome. So him and I going to record drums, which we've done before, that was just fun. Him and I went to New Jersey for like a week, and it was like a dude holiday. We just hung out and recorded drums, and then would go out to dinner.
Yeah.
Great. And so that part was fun and felt familiar. And I kind of let Aaron and he shares a studio with this guy named Shane. Shane's really good at drum sounds. And so, I walked in there and they were like, well, what mics do you want to use and where do you want to put them? I'm like, I don't know. That's I'm not that kind of like control freak. Like, you do your thing. This is your room. You know it. I told Aaron early on that I wanted the record to sound like sort of early 2000s rock, because there's a lot of music today that sounds like it was made on laptops in the heavy genre, and it doesn't dig into my soul the way that it did when I was growing up and going to see shows. And those records that had less automation and less, samples and things like that. I wanted to hear the room, and I wanted to hear the drummer mess up, and I wanted to hear a difference in snare sounds from hit to hit, and the same thing with kicks. I wanted to be more organic. So that's the only big stipulation. I was like, I know how to do doom stuff and heavy, and I know I want it to sound like the 2000s, but you produce a lot of bands that sound like now. So I'd like to just merge those things. Like, you do what you do, but like, think about what I said and try to keep it organic and try to minimize the laptop sound to it, I guess. And so we did the drums, came back, and I was excited about the drums. And then I would record, we did the guitars and all the vocals here over, it took weeks to do all that stuff, which is great to have that luxury. She doesn't get forced to have to knock out 10 songs in 3 days or something like that, which is, I've been through that before, and it's rough. Not with her, but like, it's hard on singers.
Yeah.
But so anyways, we sent the songs to Aaron, like all the tracks, the working files, and then he mixed it and sent back. Actually, it was Summertime Sadness was the first time he sent back. And literally through the first verse and first chorus, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I honest to God, cried a little bit. I was so happy. And she was sitting next to me up in the studio. I called Aaron and I was like, take the keys, just drive. And so he would just send us mixes. Then we would just listen, whether it's on our AirPods or in the car or whatever, in environments that we'd be in naturally. And we got to like just relax and enjoy the mixing process, as opposed to like me being out of my depth with like a multi-band compressor on the kick drum and how the bass is triggering, all this nerd stuff that just is, I'm okay at it, but Aaron's way better. So that long-winded way to say it was amazing.
You mentioned that you worked with other drummers. So when you write, we know a lot of musicians these days, a guitar player, say, might write down and program out drums. Even if they're not going to wind up on the album, it's a great songwriting tool. Do you utilize that in the writing process, or I'm guessing you prefer to write with a live drummer, right?
So it's interesting. I like to write with, I use drum programs in our studio upstairs because I can't record drums here, but I don't write a riff and then I don't write drums to what I think the drum should sound like for that riff. Like, what I do is let like someone else's MIDI that's a real performance, and I pick those until I get something that I think is sort of fitting. Maybe every once in a while I'll move a kick, but I think that the drums in Frayle a lot of times sound interesting because I don't pay attention to exactly making it fit the riff. I like it to be its own thing happening. And it's funny because when John was starting to learn some of the songs, it was like he was doing so much more work per square inch than I was. He's like open things and he's like trying to figure out all this stuff. And it's because I didn't make it dumbed down to the riff. I let the drums kind of like do their own thing. And then and in the back of my mind, again, it was always like, what would John do? And now, since the record, and he went to Europe with us. We just got back from there a couple weeks ago. Now we'll like get together and not try to hash things out and push it. We just like fuck around and then record the whole thing, and like really cool stuff I think comes out of that. So now it's a little different.
So do you guys like games?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's play a game. So Heretics and Lullabies is coming out on October 10th on Napalm Records. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down your track listing, and you guys can give me one word for each track, just to give a little preview. Does that sound good? Or one sentence? You guys can pick.
All right.
All right, let's do it. Walking Wounded.
Feminism.
Well, Summertime Sadness.
Lana, melancholy.
Yeah, that's good. Those 2 words. Crowd response. Like sorry, only one word.
No. Please expound.
Expound on that.
We played that song live like over a year or 2 ago, just for fun. And by the second chorus, the whole crowd was singing "Boo" back to us. Like, so that's
cool.
That never happened to us before. So we were like, that's pretty
there's
sweet.
The lyrics.
So is this a little bit like your version of Black Number One? Maybe
we'll see what happens. But it was cool. To immediate feedback. It was cool.
That's cool.
Right.
Demons.
Mental illness.
Souvenirs of your betrayal.
Heartbreak.
Glass blown heart.
Longing.
Ooh, interesting. Gwyn, you have a lot of depth. Hymn for the living.
Mourning.
Yeah. Run.
Throat singing.
And I just thought, run.
What is it? What do you mean by throat singing?
If you listen to that song, in the parts right before the chorus, if you listen real close while the song's happening, you can hear throat singing. And at the very end, you can hear it again. And Easter egg, if you go look at the video for Treacle and Revenge, the very beginning of that video is also some throat singing done by someone in this room.
Ooh.
It's the
Now,
same.
I know I don't have this. Is it Tuvian throat singing? Is that the
Yeah.
style, the technique?
That stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Heretic.
The nature of heresy.
I would say Popson.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's your relationship with him before we get to the last song?
So he was in a band called Mushroomhead, and they're
Yep.
from Cleveland. My old band would play with Mushroomhead every once in a while. And then Jason and I became friends later. He started a record label with Ryan Dunn from Jackass that put out the last record that my old band had. And then we just kind of became friends, and we would get together and like write songs together and stuff like that. And he's just an amazing yeller. So whenever it was time to like have someone else's vocals on the record, he was like he's just amazing. And like his voice and Gwen's voice are so opposite but go together. So
Yeah, very guttural and badass.
yeah, that's
For
pretty cool.
sure. Only Just Once.
Only Just Once. Gwen, what's that one about? Is that Olivia? Hi.
Do we have a special guest?
Yeah, we got some special guests in the house.
Do we get cat butts again?
No.
Okay.
This is a 4-year-old. You see big one. What? No. You almost got to see an adult's butt, but no.
Oh, this is a family show, guys.
Yeah, keep
As
it.
much as can be.
Don't-
We've tried to tone down the swearing. We try to be a family. My 13-year-old watches, and by the way, Gwen, last year we got one of your signed lyric sheets, and she has it framed. And then when she saw that that you did Summertime Sadness, there was a 13-year-old here in New Hampshire that lost her mind, just so you know.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
cool.
Yeah.
I'm always happy when like the kids, the little girls specifically, are into it. That makes me super happy.
Yeah, my daughter's not into it. She's
Not
14.
at all. No.
No, you guys have made my daughter into a metalhead. She was not until she got into Frayle. And now when Megadeth and Anthrax comes on in the car, she headbangs. She's right there headbanging. So it is 100% you guys.
You're welcome.
Gateway drug.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Sean, does your daughter? You said she's not into it. Now, is that just because you're your dad and this is your job, and therefore it's not cool because you're just dad? You're
Well,
not a rock star.
something to do with it, but she's just into like, playing sports and like whatever. So TikTok has shaped, and you might have seen this, Derek. TikTok has shaped a teenager that is global, right? That's like, if you go to the airport in any country, you're going to see, hey, that's my kid. That's how my kid dresses. Like, and so the TikTok, she's just into kind of like whatever's going on there. And I don't think she's hit the point in her life where she's like really searching for stuff, that goes outside of that yet.
Yeah.
But once she does, that's when it's my dad, he's a dork stuff will probably happen. But she does help in a lot of videos. Like a lot of our videos when there's fog or lights moving around, like that's her hiding behind a couch doing this
Nice.
reluctantly. Like,
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
Gwyn, we touched on this a little bit last year, but you often center your lyrics around persecution, and you evoke a lot of your own background and history in that lyrical content. How do you approach the process of taking such, what can be pretty painful topics and making them available and providing like solace for your audience? How do you work through that and make it okay to share that? What's the process?
It is kind of difficult. I will say that the person who writes the music isn't the one who performs it. The person who writes the music
I like that.
is the glasses wearing, hair up, sweat pant wearing girl who's sitting in her bed with her cats, writing. The person who performs it is, someone completely different. I do have to step outside of myself to get up there and be that vulnerable. So I think that it's initially it was very difficult, and I think that I spent a lot of the time trying to hide. And I think that's probably that can be said for a lot of newer vocalists or newer people who are performing. I never even like to speak in front of an audience, let alone sing about here's all these really deep personal things that I've been feeling and I want you to know about them. So it is very difficult, but I think as you evolve personally and as an artist, it becomes easier, and you develop certain things that you can do to kind of, again, step outside of yourself, so it makes it easier. so I think it was just kind of a natural evolution and figuring it out along the way.
Sort
Are
of.
you are you sorry, John, are
Yeah.
you introverted by nature?
Oh, 100%.
So
100.
you're completely out of your element by getting is getting dressed up, putting on the Cat's Little Factory jewelry and everything else a shield for you to be
Yeah, is
able
it
to
a
get up
mask?
at Summer Breeze and Bloodstock?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the face jewelry, I think that kind of came about because again, it gave me a way to hide. So now while vocally I can emote and I'm never going to be a belter. I'm never going to be someone who, really pushes it out there, but at least I can, still emote and be present. Um, but I still have this little thing that kind of, you're not seeing the real
Hmm.
person behind the mask, I guess.
That's a great tool. It's fascinating to talk about people who talk with people whose lyrics approach a really vulnerable time or event or space in their life, and how it's possible for them to get on stage and share that with people. We talked to Kenny Hickey recently, and I asked him a similar question, and he said, I've got an ace in the hole, and that is that as vulnerable as I am, you are too. You're just not getting up and getting up on a stage with it. And that really resonated because I think all of us go through really hard times and shitty times and painful times. And just there's a far fewer number of you guys who get up on a stage and share that with all of us.
And I think that is that most of all is what makes it resonate with other people is because we do have that shared experience. And most people aren't able to express that in front of others, for a number of different reasons. So that when someone is um, standing in front of others and being their true self and, like expressing how they've gone through mental illness, depression, thoughts of suicide, all these things, and it kind of strikes a chord, and that is what helps other people kind of connect with us as artists.
Gwen, I'm going to ask you, and this is more of a question as a father to a little girl. Do you feel an obligation as your platform expands to be honest as a woman and to be a bit of a role model? Because you're very glamorous yet spooky, and my daughter just gravitated towards that. So, do you feel that need to do that?
So I don't feel a need to be a role model per se, but I do feel a need to present like the character or whatever. I need to present that as strong and able to work through things. Um, so perhaps that is, role model adjacent, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think
That's a
as
shirt, role model adjacent.
Yeah, that's a great shirt.
It's really good.
But I don't think, I don't think about that. I do think it is important for me though to present a strong image and always a resolution to whatever darkness or pain that you're going through. There's always a resolution.
Cat's Little Factory. I mentioned that earlier. Talk about that. I saw on social media today that there's a lot of Easter eggs in the Heretic video. You had commented on their Facebook page. Feel free to give them a shout out and what you love and why people should go visit them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kat is amazing as a person. She's so intelligent. She's so witty. And of course, the stuff that she makes is just absolutely beautiful. And I wouldn't be presenting who I am as well without her things. So, um, she makes all of the beautiful face jewelry that I wear. Some of the jewelry, her friend actually, Mosher Abroad, made this piece, and it's beautiful. So I want to try and support as many independent artists as possible. She came with us she's lives in
U-
Halifax, yeah, in the
UK.
UK. And so she came with us on the tour and she ran our merch and sold her stuff along ours. And it was great to have her along, not just as, a merch person, but as another female and someone who can kind of relate to some of the experiences,
Yeah, she was hilarious.
Yeah, she's funny.
And she's the only one other one on tour that occasionally smokes cigarettes, so it was great that I could smoke cigarettes.
A fellow heathen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not a smoker, but that's why I need someone else to smoke cigarettes, because I'm like, hey, let me give me one of those. But our merch thing was so sick because it was like all the Frayle merch. And then right next to it was like all cat stuff. Which is basically the stuff that Gwen's wearing on stage. So it was just like the whole world was there. Like the whole Frayle world was there. And like Gwen said, I think that like without Cat, like Frayle wouldn't quite be,
What? Yeah,
visually like what it is. I think
absolutely.
it's awesome. And she's hilarious, dude. She's so funny.
She is. She's very, very
Um,
fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in the future we'll have her on with you guys. How was Summer Breeze, Bloodstock? I mean, everybody kind of looks at those as being like you've made it when you get invited or you get to go to that. How did that feel playing those stages?
I mean, it's always incredible. And the energy that you get there is just this uplifting rush of positive party energy, even though we're not a party band, we're not that band, but it still is just such an uplifting feeling. And the energy that's exchanged is definitely on a different level. It's more like a crowd energy and then our energy, and it's as opposed to like individuals at a smaller show. So it was definitely very special at Summer Breeze. That the place was packed. When we finished playing, we were lucky enough that we were in charge of our own merch, and it was just off to the side of the stage. So after we play, we always like to go and meet as many people as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And we were there for like an hour, just taking pictures and signing autographs and talking to people. And it was great.
Yeah, and those are because the stage, like if you play a big festival like that and your merch is close and you go there, you're gonna do really well and interact with fans. But some of the bigger ones, it was like literally a mile away, and it took us a half an hour to get through the crowd to get there. And by the time we got there was like only a handful of people that saw us play there. But like Summer Breeze, that being right there, like it was crazy. It was just so awesome to hang out with that many people and talk to them. And some of them have been our fans from the beginning, and some of them just saw us the first time that night. And it was just a mix of everything. And I really liked it because like on stage, it was like we played at nighttime, and like the moon was directly above the sound, like front of house, way out in front of us. So it was like just like looking over at Gwen and being like, oh my God, this is crazy. And there's the moon. Like it was a pretty cool experience. So that was probably because of that moon stuff. I was like, that was my favorite festival
Yeah.
that we did.
Well, I'll tell you from a fan standpoint, when a band comes out and interacts and hangs out at the merch table and so on, it's huge. It's huge. Because Derek and I are very fortunate that anybody would want to spend any time with a couple of jackwagons like us doing this sort of stuff. So we're very grateful for your time. But even just, you go to see a show and the people you're watching on stage whose music you love or you followed for years, or you just heard about them last week, they're often, we look at you, the performers, as untouchable, like avatars almost. So when we get to have an experience with you at the merch booth or whatever, or even more so for Derek and I right now, it's a really fun experience because it's proof that, guess what? You're human too. Not only do you do really cool shit, you're just normal people like everybody else. So I think those fan interactions and the fact that you guys take your time, especially when you're done with a set, I know what it's like. You're shot. You just want to go grab a drink, sit down for a while. So it's very much appreciated that you guys do that. So know that from the fan base that we love it when you're willing to come out when you'd much rather be, sitting in the green room.
Yeah, I remember seeing
Awesome.
Chelsea Wolfe early on in her career, and she would, before she got too big, she would do that. And I was like, I can't believe that I'm standing here just talking to Chelsea Wolfe at this show, and then as she got bigger, I think she wasn't able to do that, but like hopefully we'll be able to pull that off all the time. And now with the masks and stuff, when we run down, the people that like we played, our first show was with Machine Head in Poland, and it was I think maybe out of, I don't know, 1,500 people that were there, like maybe 10 people have seen us before or knew who we were, because it was just like, Machine Head crowd, not really a Frayle crowd. But like after the show, when Gwen went out there, and then I was like, I'm gonna just see what happens with the masks. I've never, it's our first time wearing a mask at a big show, and like people loved it. Like they were just like, oh my God, take a picture with us. And like it turned into this whole thing, and it's fun, right? It's like another way to like interact and like bring that experience up for people at the show.
I know that fashion is a big part of who you guys are. We talked about that the last time you were on, Gwyn. Who designed the masks? Like, where did that come from?
So I took some fabric, and like we both have a similar background in powder making and apparel design and stuff like that. So I took some fabric and pieced together the version 1 of the masks, and then I spray painted the top with white spray paint. And then I was like, oh, it'd be sweet as if we put Kat, if she did some chain stuff for this. So I showed her a picture of it, and she sent me all the chains from UK, and then I figured out where they need to go. And then we realized pretty quickly after shooting a video that the fabric masks were going to last about another day. So
sure.
I, through J-Man, through Popson, I got a hold of the person that made all the masks for Mushroom Head. And for Waylon, Rebus, and probably some other bands. And he did not want to make masks. I was like, bro, please. He's like, no, man, I'm just kind of over it. And I'm like, please, please, please. And I begged him, and he finally said yes. And so he just sort of copied what we had and made it a little bit better, but made it a lot more durable. And so that's how we ended up with that. But the chains on there are from Kat, and I wanted to kind of echo, what Gwyn had going on a little bit, and then also just remove who we are on an everyday basis and just make this world have a little bit more depth with this just faceless aggression that supports her, on stage. And now it's I don't know, I have a lot of fun.
The chaos over the lullabies.
Yeah. So the chaos is faceless now. And it's a lot of work to have hoods and arm things, and now the neck paint, which gets everywhere. But now I kind of like it because I look literally like a filthy weirdo after the show. And I don't care about wiping the makeup off. It's just you're covered in stuff, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, the neck paint is gnarly. It looks great. It translates really well.
Yeah, I'm actually going to get my neck full tattooed tomorrow because I'm too lazy to put the paint on. So I'm just gonna do the whole thing, and not blackout, but it'll just be super dark so that I have to have one less thing to paint.
Good Lord, that's commitment.
Yeah, I'm committed. Oh, speaking of commitment, look, that's Gwyn. She's not done.
Oh, tasty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
who's your artist? Where did you get the work done?
This dude's name is Ryan. He's up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The hair's got to get done because that was 6 hours, and then we had to go. But he'll finish the rest of it. And then I'm gonna get my daughter on this arm, but the same kind of zombie, but it's her lacrosse photo from school. But she'll be holding an axe just to piss her off.
Nice. So what's the most challenging part about taking your really deeply layered studio work, your recorded works, and translating them to the live environment? What's the biggest challenge there?
Now,
hearing myself.
Well, yeah, Gwyn hearing herself is the biggest challenge, but I'd say that adjacent to that is the fact that we cannot yet afford our own sound guy. So we're throwing all these complicated things at a different sound guy every single time, and just hoping that they're going to nail it. They usually do a pretty good job. I think we do a good job of trying to limiting the difficulty that they have, but that's the biggest challenge is
you're utilizing some degree of ambient tracks in the back or things like that, one-shot samples, so on and so forth?
Yeah, so there's the computer, the drums don't go through the computer, the drums are just real, but there are synths and that kind of stuff going on, and we play to a click, so we're relying on that sound guy to mix that. And in the US, they mix differently than in Europe. In Europe, they put the vocals way on top, and in the US, it's more of blended in. So it's always a challenge to get that just right, and everybody's got their own different idea of what that's going to be. And then also small clubs, what they can handle versus the big clubs as far as pushing the subs and stuff like that. So just having a uniform sound from my perspective is the most difficult thing. But for Gwyn, it's for sure
it's just a monitor balance. That's the challenge for you, Gwyn?
Because she sings so quiet that the only thing coming through the mic is drums.
Yeah. My mic needs to be so hot for anybody to hear me. And of course it picks up drums, specifically the snare and cymbals, and it's just very difficult for me to hear myself and to find that balance. I mean, in a lot of the smaller clubs, I don't stand in the middle where a vocalist would normally stand. I have to stand way over here, and then
that's Daryl.
Daryl, oh hi Daryl, and then the drums are way over here to try and get as much distance as we possibly can between me and that. I mean, we can keep the guitar and the bass kind of low and turn the cabs around, or play through the computer, but it is difficult.
Going back to masks and fashion, Is there, and you seem like you guys are way ahead of the game all the time. You're always planning ahead. I could be wrong on that, but is the intent to have fashion rolled into each album cycle and tour cycle and change it up, like kind of like Ghost does?
Right. I don't think that we think about it that like that. It's just kind of whatever we feel like doing at the moment
Hmm.
uh, is what happens. So I don't think we plan it out like that, but um, the visuals are obviously very important to Sean and I. We are both very visual people, so if we can expound on what we've done and create more of a world with both visuals and the sonic part of it as well, then we definitely want to make that, you know, keep that as big as possible.
And is there anything on the horizon for tours that you can talk about? I'm actually in New England now. Last time we talked, I was in Florida. So I'm happy to come down to Boston and show you guys the sights and get you some good cannolis and stuff like that. But is there anything on the horizon that you can talk about?
Well, so we have two things right now that are kind of in the works. There are dates and venues planned, but nothing has been solidified. There was something planned for the US for October. Again, nothing has been solidified yet. Now, as an artist who wants to get out there, it's frustrating, but it's just, you have to wait on people. It's just life, right? And then November we had something planned to go back to Europe, mostly UK, um, France, different because we normally kind of do the Benelux route, but I think this would be a little bit more UK based. But again, that's still nothing's been solidified. So we just have to kind of wait and see. And Sean and I are not patient people,
Yeah.
but there's only so much you can do, right? It's just you have to wait on others to. And I get it, like as a band, if I don't know whether I'm going to be in the studio, I don't know whether I'm going to get this other tour, or you just have to wait. So
Yeah. What are you doing in your when you're trying desperately to be patient? What are you doing in your downtime? What keeps you occupied?
Xanax, no. um, I mean, we're already working on the next album.
Mhm.
I started making some vocal sketches yesterday and a couple of weeks ago, so we've already started on that. Um, Napalm keeps us very busy with um, social media stuff. Um, so we've been busy with that.
We've been doing a lot of press lately too.
Been doing a lot of press. That's because of the people at Napalm. They've been, like I said, they've been extremely supportive and just, what do you guys want to do? Let's make that happen, kind of thing. So it's been really wonderful.
Yeah, like at the festivals, this was the first for us. We played festivals before, but we never had there's another cat. We never had a press liaison meet us at the festival and then walk us through press for hours.
Oh, that's wild.
It was pretty crazy. So, and it was every festival we had that.
Yeah.
Sometimes there was photo shoots, where they didn't really want the band. They were just want Gwyn. And then I was like, but we have our stuff on. Maybe you could take a picture of us. So they they humored me and they put us in there, click, click. Okay, go.
All
and
right,
then,
one with Gwyn.
Then they turned the fans on and Gwen's hair's going and the guy's like, oh yes, yeah. It was pretty cool. So that was a sweet experience. And it's kind of not the photo shoots, but the press has continued. We're, every day we got stuff going on. That's why we kind of made our dining rooms look real
Love
scary.
it.
We had a cool backdrop. We got to work on our
Love
lighting.
it. Gwyn, all your interviews, when you're there, you've got the craziest, coolest backdrops. I saw an interview for you a while back. I don't know, you had 300 candles on a mantle back behind you. You had a great backdrop when we talked to you a year ago. Yeah, you guys have a fantastic aesthetic.
If I end up winning the $1.7 billion lottery, I'm going to buy you guys a castle. I feel like you guys need to have some spooky castle to live in.
Yeah.
We definitely need a castle. Yeah.
There's been a couple near us that went for sale, but we couldn't afford them.
Thank you for your consideration.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to do that when I win. We're going to manifest this.
Yeah.
All right.
go.
All right. I'm working on it with you.
We did a show with the Canton Symphony Orchestra about a year ago.
Yeah.
And which was cool that they reached out to us and said, hey, we want to do a show with you and we're going to play orchestra over your music. And we're like, oh, sweet. But we wanted to dress it up. So we bought like hundreds and hundreds of like candles,
Right.
like, fake ones because you can't bring hundreds of candles into a bar. And then now we have them all up in our house on timer. So like as soon as it gets dark around 8:00, you don't need to turn any light switches on. It's literally like you're in the 1800s. Like,
Right. They just come on.
it's so fun.
It feels so homey.
Yeah.
It feels so.
It's awesome.
You gotta do the home and garden profile tour of the house at some point.
You need to do a cribs.
Yeah.
An episode.
Yeah. So, Sean, I would be remiss. I am a gear nut. I love equipment. So I have to beg you to give me a quick rundown of what you're using these days, what you love.
How much time do we have?
Look, Derek knows this. We can go for hours and I will not get bored, but I try and be reasonable.
On the guitar front, like we're endorsed by Orange, and I actually I prefer Orange amps. And when we record, I have this 50-watt rocker verb that I love. I have other Orange amps, but there's something about this rocker verb that I just love. And so that's primarily the guitar tones of this rocker verb. I have a Thunder verb that I took on the Cradle tour. When we went to Europe, we rent gear, and luckily through Orange, it's like extremely affordable. And I didn't want to rent a tube head this time, because like I wanted something that I could DI out into the computer so that the stage would be quieter for Gwyn, because normally I turn my cab around. We played London one time and I literally had the cab in the backstage. It wasn't even on stage with us because I'm trying to keep the stage volume down for her. And I've always been against guitar modelers because I just don't like the way that they sound, and I really don't like the way they clean up, because on my guitar I have one of the pickups with the volume down real quiet, and so when I flip my switch, that's the clean tone. It's still going through dirty amp, but the way that pickup interacts with the tube head is what I like. And so I haven't heard modelers do a good job. They just do a quieter version of distortion, and I didn't really like that. So anyways, Orange just came out with this thing called a Game Baby, which is a solid state head, but it cleans up somehow. And so I used that in Europe and I loved it. Like, cause I could hear perfectly. It was quiet for her if we wanted to have a silent stage. So always Orange on the front end, whether it's tube heads or now this Game Baby, which I like a lot. And then on the pedals, Earthquaker, also endorsed by them. And the afterneath is like probably the main guitar sound that I have, that any of those spooky like things that where the note bends and there's kind of like an echo reverb happening. That's all the afterneath. So I love that. And then, I have a couple signature pedals that are sort of based off Rats, that are essentially it's like a Rat. So just think of like a Rat pedal going through a dirty amp. And that's the heavy, thick sound that just sustains for a long time. And then, on the studio side, I don't even want to, that'll take too long. Like I just invested so much into the studio. Like I could have bought a sports car, but instead I bought like all this.
You made the right choice.
Yeah. It's so amazing. So the next record, we're going to bring the producer here so they can use all my fun toys.
That's
and then
great.
Yesterday I got a trailer. I'm excited about our 6x12 blacked out trailer.
You going to turn that into a mobile recording rig?
No, that's just for gear, because I wanted Frayle to look real cool when they pull up to the structure.
Oh, hell yeah.
It had to be fully black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right, last gear question for you. If you could only play with one pedal for the rest of your life, what would that pedal be?
The afterneath.
Afterneath, really?
Yeah, because it's like, it doesn't need to have, I'd feel a little naked without a distortion pedal, but the afterneath, I could do Frayle with just that pedal. And
Nice.
and some of Gwen's voice goes through that too sometimes on records, but that's
cool.
the jam.
And we got one last thing that we like to do before we let you go. We've got a series of quickie questions. This is a this or that type thing, and you can keep your answers as short or go as long as you want. Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Barely.
Yeah.
Ooh, barely. Okay. City or country?
City.
Country.
Country.
Okay. Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Sunrise.
Why are we married?
You guys are 0 for 0 so far. Window or aisle seat?
Aisle.
Window.
Okay. Hardcover or paperback?
Paperback.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cedar Point or Disney?
Neither.
Cedar Point all day.
It's got to be Cedar Point. Am I right? That's the only good answer. Go to a party or host a party?
Neither.
Introvert.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably, I don't know, man. That's so hard. It shouldn't be this hard, right?
No, they should.
We've never hosted a party, but
No.
I'm still torn by. I don't know. I guess go to one just because we've never hosted one.
Okay, good enough. And last one, all-inclusive resort or backpacker hostel?
All inclusive.
All inclusive for sure.
Awesome.
Well, we really appreciate your time. We wish you nothing but the best. And like I said, I will follow through on that castle when I win the lottery. But if not, I can offer you guys good food when you make it to Massachusetts and or New Hampshire if you happen to get there. But we really appreciate it. We're really happy for you guys and can't wait to hear the whole record. And that's out on October 10th. The record title is Heretics and Lullabies by Frayle, and it's on Napalm Records. So be sure to get out there and get your hands on it.
You guys are awesome, the best. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us for a little while.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much. It means so much for
and
bands like us. Appreciate it.
for sure. And we'll definitely hit you up when we're up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.